Henry, let's talk about the game then, because there's lots of headlines, as you heard a minute ago, us saying about what people are thinking about Chelsea at the moment. What are your thoughts?
I thought the very concerning element for Potter with the Chelsea fans was not simply that they were singing for Thomas Tuchel, Super Tommy Tuchel, but that they sang for Abramovich, because if they sing for Tuchel, the owner, Todd Bowley, will just sort of take that in his stride. If they sing for Abramovich, the former owner, that directly impinges on Todd Bowley. And it's when the owners feel the fans are turning on them, the owners, is when they themselves start looking even more closely at Potter. But look, there's some mitigation for Potter here in terms of missing 10 players, particularly Reece James, because you look at Chelsea when Reece James plays, and he almost sort of sets the tempo from right back because of his personality, because of his energy down the right and his defensive skills as well. So, look, there is some mitigation there. But, City made changes and they were organised, they were hungrier. Good managers adapt. Foden, Mahrez and Walker in particular were outstanding. So you've got to put Chelsea's issues yesterday in a slight context. Having said that, good managers get better performances out of good players. Koulibaly is a decent player, and he was struggling horribly. Havertz, Kovacic, Ziyech, I'm just naming three there, were totally anonymous, and two of them got hooked at half-time. So, look, Potter deserves some sympathy. It is a long-term project, if that's ever possible at Chelsea. But he's really got to start getting these players more organised. I don't know. I mean, Ali, you're a professional. When you look at Chelsea, do you know what their identity is?
No.
Are they a possession team? Are they a counter-attacking team? Clearly, he wants to play Potter ball, a bit more possession, as we saw at Brighton. But I can't see any sign of it yet.
Henry, do you think he's... he said there in his post-match interview, Graham Potter, that obviously it was a bad day at the office. That was plain for everybody to see. He mentioned he put on some young lads in the second half. I think that was a quote he said, some young lads in the second half. Do you think there's more... am I reading too much into that? Do you think he's maybe making a statement by doing that? Because you look at the squads, clearly, and the difference in the quality in the Manchester City squad, and perhaps, not just the Chelsea squad, perhaps any other squad in the league. But do you think he was kind of making a statement there by putting the younger lads on?
A little bit, but you can't compare City's sort of recruitment over the last 10 years in terms of the quality of it. I'm not talking simply about financial investment, because Chelsea invested well. But if you have a high turnover of managers, then you're going to get changes to the squad. So look, the problems at Chelsea run deeper than Potter. It's about having a director of football and that they build properly. And if Todd Bowley has come in and he's talking about a long-term project, again, there's always a caveat about that with Chelsea because of the demanding fans, then he has got to be given time. But it's so difficult. If they carry on playing like this, and if the attitude of the players, some of the players, I thought, was just disgraceful yesterday. Because whatever you think of the manager, you're still being paid. You've still got 8,000 fans who are up there. Made that journey up on the day of a rail strike, traffic, and all that. Cost of living, the issues that everyone faces at the moment. Then they've got to put more of a shift in. So I would say, individually, the players have got to do more. Collectively, Potter's got to do. I mean, there were issues with you could see when they were trying to defend that free kick against Mahrez early on. You knew what Mahrez was going to do. He was going to whip it over the ball and put it to Kepa's left. And the wall was, they had three men in the wall. They had three breakers who were just floating around, looking like they were waiting at a bus stop. And you just wondered, so how much coaching goes on at Cobham? Potter is a good coach, but are the players listening?
Henry, what do you think about Todd Bowley's decision since he's come in? Do you think that there is some responsibility to go to Todd Bowley and the way that he kind of dropped the axe quite quickly on quite a lot of different things?
Totally. I think it's his responsibility. He's got involved. He's almost seen himself as de facto director of football, when, with great respect for him, his background is not in football or recruitment. You need to get professionals in. You need real expertise in there. You need to listen a little bit more to the fans and what they want. And if he is he has to come out and make a statement saying, this is a long-term project. I hate the word project, but there is an element of that. You can look at the top of the table, Laura, with your team, Arteta. Arteta's obviously there's something about Arteta. There's always been this aura about him, slightly as a player, but always as a coach. When he was at Manchester City, you knew, you talked to the players that he was going to go. There's something about him. But, it took him, won the FA Cup, but it took him a little bit of time to reach him. So if you're going to say it's a long-term project, come out and back Potter now. It's a completely different level, but look at Marinakis at Nottingham Forest. His support for there's a good piece in the Mail by Ian Ladyman just goes through that about that support for Steve Cooper. I'm not really comparing the situations, but on a broader perspective, if you are going to say this is a new project, we're trying to change this constant turnover at Chelsea, then it's a long-term project, then back the manager. I can understand with some of the more recent recruitments buying younger, but that indicates as a long-term project, you then have to back the manager similarly.
I think you're right, Henry. I think a lot of that hinges around respect as well, doesn't it, between the board, the owners, the manager? Because what you're saying about Mikel Arteta, I think the one thing that he's always had with that aura, he's been given that respect and that trust, and there would be something really beneficial, I think, in Chelsea coming out and backing Graeme at the moment and trying to get that respect back.
I mean, there's always a sort of flip side with that, because what we're like in the media, there'll be an element of, he's been given the dreaded vote of confidence. But I think if that support was clearly there, however that was signalled, whether it was to the fans, whether it was to the media, whether it was via the players, it'd be quite nice if some of the players came out and talked supportively about Potter and said they were enjoying it. I don't actually see this as a Chelsea team individually or collectively that's improving. Again, you have that issue with the 10 players injured as well. But good managers adapt. And Potter, I went into the press conference yesterday when I was doing my rewrite on the match, and just listening to Potter, he doesn't sound like a Chelsea manager. He's sitting in a seat. Okay, it was an away match, but he's sitting in a seat where Ancelotti sat, where Mourinho sat, where strong individuals sat. And it's how you respond in adversity. It's how you talk in adversity. And I looked at a manager, and he sounded like a manager who was a manager of a mid-table club. And look at the 10th in the table, clearly they are. They're the third best team in West London, let alone the whole of London. So, but he's got to exude a little bit more authority. He's coming out with sort of certain cliches, and it's all very well, and it's all playbook stuff. But I want a little bit more defiance. I want a little bit more authority, which then is a message that goes via the media, via the fans, and disseminates to the players as well. There has to be a little bit more defiance from Potter.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.